And welcome to this week's Woman on a Mission Live. I am so excited because I am going to be chatting today with the fabulous Claire Sisk. So whilst we wait for Claire to join us, and let me know if and where you're joining us from. Give us a little wave, give us a little comment in the chat. Oh, I've got all nervous all of a sudden. So those of you that don't know Claire, she is amazing. She's absolutely amazing. If you're not already following her, please go and give her a follow. She is just fabulous. There she is. Let me see if I can join her. Now, hold on, Claire. Just wait one sec. Can you invite yourself to join me, and then I can add you to the live chat. I don't know if you can do that. Let's see if we can do this. Here we go. Registered blind with 4% vision, and she is an amazing advocate for the blind community and the disabled community. She is the best person to chat to today. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, my lovely?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
So good to speak to you. I've just got all really waffly because I'm like, oh my God, I'm speaking to Claire today. So I can't just say to everyone, I could not think of a more inspirational woman to be chatting to the day before for Inspirational Women's Day tomorrow. Just been telling everyone that you are registered blind with 4% vision. So thank you so much for joining us today. You're a public speaker, you're a radio presenter, you're a blind content creator. I mean, what do you not do?
I can't think, that's for sure. I also like to tell people that I'm some sort of championship gold medalist when it comes to eating sweets.
I was going to mention that. I love that. I mean, can I just congratulate you on your broccoli from yesterday?
Thank you.
I
really appreciate that, because that took a lot of courage to eat.
But not only did you eat it, you actually shared it with us as well, which was just brilliant. Guys, if you're not following Claire, can you please just go and click on the arrow and just make sure you give Claire a follow, because she is super close to 100k, and wouldn't that be an amazing thing to happen within 24 hours of Woman on a Mission Day? That, and for eating broccoli and no sweets alone, is absolutely the reason to give you guys a follow. So I have got so much to talk to you about. We've got a lot to pack into quite a short space of time. So I'm going to be talking to you today about your roles within your ambassadorship for the blind community and everything that you do on Instagram, from your videos and being a radio presenter, meeting Robbie. I want to talk to you about London Fashion Week. I want to talk to you about how we can support you in getting all that kind of information out there. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with how you got, like, how everything kind of fell into place or didn't fall into place for you? Like what happened initially for you to kind of be where you are now?
Oh, that's a very long story. So
sorry, we're kind of going in deep
right.
straight away.
No, I can talk for England. That's the problem. So very, very quickly, 29, I had 2 strokes. Up until that point, I had a quite, what I would say, normal life. I was married. I had a 9-year-old daughter. I worked full time. After my second stroke, I noticed there was problems with my eyesight at night. Took myself to the opticians, as I used to wear contact lenses. I thought, oh, maybe my prescription's changed. Fast forward a few months, after lots and lots of tests with ophthalmologists, neurologists, I was told that there was damage to my occipital lobe in my brain, and that my rods and cones were also damaged in my eyes. At the time, NASA had invented bionic rods and cones, and I was like, oh, wow, I could have a bit of NASA inside me. How cool is that? So I wasn't sort of too disheartened, and the brain damage, the only issue really the brain damage was causing me, I have, my right side of my body is weaker than my left, because the stroke attacked the left part of my brain, which operates the right side of your body. And when I get tired, or if I'm poorly or run down. I have a stutter. And I could live with that. I'd had therapy, speech therapy, rehabilitation, and I was fine.
That is a lot, Claire. That's a lot to go through.
I remember it being a lot at the time, but when I talk about it now, I think, oh, I think because I'm 15 years into this, and this is life now. I know no different anymore. Yeah. So when they did tests to see if I could have these bionic rods and cones, they could see that there was other diseases in my eyes, and they said it just won't make a difference. And then they told me within 10 years you're going to be blind. That was hard. Yeah. That was really hard, because at no point did I think that was something that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I've been diagnosed with Best disease, macular degeneration, Charles-Bonnet syndrome, cone rod dystrophy, and retinal dystrophy.
Wow.
My mother has retinitis pigmentosa, and retinal dystrophy kind of sits under that umbrella. So that one was a genetic condition that the stroke just brought it on. Everything else was just kind of like, oh, let's attack Claire's eyes and live there. So then for the next few years, I just kind of, was getting on with life. I was still working. I didn't want my daughter to think that you just give up. I wanted to show her, no matter what life throws at us, we tackle it head on, and we just go for it. And during that time, my marriage broke down, and life was hard because my eyesight was getting worse. On the 1st of November 2017, I woke up and I could barely see anything. And I was really fortunate. I managed to get an outpatient's appointment with my ophthalmologist, and she registered me blind there and then. And it's really hard to explain those emotions, because I knew I was losing my eyesight, but you don't expect to wake up and it just not be there. It's like, how can that just happen? Like, where's it gone? Like, what happened in my sleep?
And is it temporary? Will it come back? Will it,
Exactly. And so then I had to go to Moorfields, where I have loads of images done, and they were really baffled because the diseases I have weren't working in the pattern that they had been used to seeing. Because a lot of those diseases attack your central vision, which is what I was losing, but then it started to attack the peripheral vision. So I'm still a bit of a medical mystery there, but that is what it is. And then I still continued to work full time. I was determined to adapt and embrace new technology, overcome so many barriers, but not just personally, but with other people, because people look at you, they go, well, you're blind, how are you using a computer? They're unaware that there's so many visual aids that can help you do a job. And then in the pandemic, I got made redundant, and I then spent 6 months applying. I applied for 251 jobs, and I didn't get a single interview. And I believe it's because I tick the disability box, again, because people think of all the things you can't do. They don't think that every day I have to time manage myself, because my disability has an impact on how long things take me. I'm also a mum. I run a house. I have to think outside the box every single day. I've had to reteach myself how to do everything that I once could do with sight, and I no longer can do without sight, And they don't think that you've got the ability. And it's like, also, we want to work. We would be your best workers, because we don't want to sit at home and be bored. And it was getting me down that no one would even give me an interview. And I'd gone to the supermarket one day, food shopping, and I was using my app called Seeing AI. It reads everything out to me. And this lady, she come and asked me if I needed any help, and I said, no, it's fine, I've got this. And she was so lovely, and we had this whole conversation, and I was showing her how I do my shopping, and she was like, oh, I've learned something new today, and I'm going to share this with my kids. And it made me feel really good. For someone who struggled for so long, for a good few years. I refused to use my white cane, and I just wouldn't accept that I was blind. I would just kind of still get on with life as if I wasn't. And it made me feel really good. And I got to the checkout, and I got my phone out, and I texted my partner to say, I'm just paying. And the guy in front of me turned around, and he was like, well, you're not blind, you're using a phone. And I thought, oh my God, like, if a random stranger can think that of you, what do your friends and family and work colleagues think of you?
Yeah.
And it played on my mind for ages, because I just thought, do people think I'm faking this? Like, and why would you?
Really?
Like, all disabilities, why would you fake being blind? Like, I've given up my independence, I've had to give up my driving license, and it played on my mind for so long. And then I I did a video of me crossing the road, because I wanted to show people how hard it is, you know.
Yeah.
And I posted that to my private Facebook. And I mean, I don't know if you're like me, you've just got hundreds of people on Facebook that you never speak to, like that you knew 30 years ago, you know. And these kind of people were commenting on the video, and they were like, you need to put this on social media so people can see it. And that's kind of where my social media journey started. I then started using platforms like TikTok and Instagram to show that. And the more I was showing, the more engagement I was getting, and the more questions I was getting. Well, how do you do this? How would you do that? And it kind of, everything that I'm doing now has stemmed from what I started doing on social media. Well, so that's it.
Oh my God, I'm like, whoa, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, my God, I did say at the beginning, you are a woman on a mission, and I didn't know I knew this much of your story. I didn't know about your strokes, actually. So, my God, you are incredible, absolutely incredible. I've got goosebumps, actually. It's just like, whoa. So it's a lot to unpack. But what I first found you, I think, 2 years ago. It's been a while. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
And what I really loved was the fact that your reels are so educational, and they're short and they're snappy, and I'm a blind person, this is how. And you know, I think I messaged you actually, said this is going to be so helpful for a friend of mine who was really struggling with losing her sight and her visual problems. But also it's incredibly helpful to me and my friends and family who don't know how to support people like, you know, my friends who was going through that. So can I just say thank you on behalf of everybody for what you are doing, because it is so enlightening, and your positivity really does. Can you see all the heart ones? There's loads and loads of hearts going up the side, going, you know, yes, that's absolutely right. You really are such a positive, inspirational person, and I'm sure it's not like that day in, day out. But yeah, thank you on behalf of everybody for sharing with us on a daily basis just what you go through, but equally how you overcome. And that's the big thing, is overcoming and educating, you know, the world about how you manage and how you can support other people as well. It's amazing. It's amazing. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, how do you so your passion and your mission is to make the internet more accessible. And I know that I fall really short on this. What would you like all of us to be doing, especially when we're posting online, whether it be on, you know, Instagram or on our blogs or what have you? What is it that you have noticed that we are severely lacking in doing, and how can we get better at that?
For me, it's the description of what's going on. If people post a picture, my screen reader will give a very vague description. Like, it might say, lady stood in front of a water fountain. That's all I've got. I don't know. I mean, the AI that's programmed into these apps is just very simple, but I don't know where this water fountain is. I don't know, is it nighttime, is it daytime, what are you wearing? And if there's multiple people, who are you with? So I always encourage people to put an image description. And I'm not a very wordy, articulate person, and a lot of the time I get help from, I get friends and family, and you know, I've got a few people that work for me that I get them to help me write a description, because as a blind person, I want to live in that picture with you. And the more detail you've got about it, you're like, oh, it's like when you watch a commercial on TV and, you know, you see the butter oozing out of a piece of toast, you start salivating. Well, I can't see that. So I need someone to physically describe that, so that I'm there like, oh, I want that. And the same with an image, and even with a video, you know, so much social media is scrolling. We scroll through videos and videos, and people are like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what I've got. This is so amazing. And I'm just sat there going, but what is it? What have you got?
Yeah.
What is it? Hoping they'll say it, and they don't. And then you're in the comments section trying to see, well, what is this amazing thing? And there's just nothing there for me to go on. So now when these videos happen, you've lost me as a viewer of your content, because I've got no idea what you're talking about. And it's the same with brands and businesses. You know, I think it was Cadbury's at Christmas time done a find the dairy milk, and I kept DMing them saying, but I'm blind, how am I going to find this?
Yes.
You know,
Give me
no
a clue.
response, but it's just
really
like, you're excluding a huge community of people. It's not just being blind or low vision. There's a lot of people who wear glasses, older people struggle with their vision. You're just excluding us all. So just to make it inclusive for everybody, and not just for blind people, using captions for those who are hearing impaired, you know, who can't hear what you're saying, or, you know, I sometimes probably don't open my mouth properly, so they wouldn't be able to lip read. Having those captions, they're going to be able to be included. Not using flashing images for anyone with photosensitive eyes or who has epilepsy. It's a minefield, because you're then sitting there thinking, oh, well, how can it be inclusive to everybody? But there are so many different disabilities on social media saying what can be inclusive for them. It's easy to kind of tick all boxes. So for me, the best way would be to describe in the captions what is going on. There is something called alt text, that if you go into like the extra settings, it will say alt text, and you can put a description, but not everyone knows where to find that. But you can just easily put it in your caption, and you don't have to be really detailed. Just give us a vague idea, but the more detail, the better.
Brilliant. That is so helpful, because I know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in the, you know, watching us that don't do that. No. And I know that I need to do that in order to, you know, be more well, so that you can experience more. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's inclusivity. It's having that experience, that shared experience with everybody. Because, like, my God, you were saying, you know, how amazing is this? And you're like, no idea.
What is it?
Is it amazing? You're telling me it is, but is it really? So yeah, that's so important. So it's in the, so when you go into the where will we find it? So if you go into the, when you're posting, is that right?
Depending on what platform. So Instagram, when you go to post, you've got, you know, you can add topics, location, music. In scroll down, there's advanced settings in there. It will be called alt text. When you post images on Facebook or X, I believe there's like a button in the corner that it will say alt text, and you can push that, and then it will bring up a new screen where it will give you a box that you can write a little description, and it saves it behind the image, so no one else will see it, but a screen reader will read it to us.
Brilliant. That is brilliant. Astro Ranger's just saying that she struggles, she struggles with captions. I never know how to describe things. What tips do you have? How detailed do you have to be?
Like I say, obviously the more detailed, the better it is for us. But if you're not an articulate person, just something like today, you know, if I'd posted a picture of myself, I'd be like, Claire is a white woman with long blonde hair, and she is wearing a white roll neck jumper. But if I really wanted to go into detail, I could be like, she has on brown and gold eye makeup with brown eyeliner, red lip, and you can really go into detail. But, you know, I think we start somewhere and then you build on it. The more and more you do it, the more detail you as a person will start to notice about your own image. And you give that information. Or look at it and close your eyes and think to yourself, well, what has stood out from that image for me? And that's go into that detail. Like if you've taken a photo outside and the sun's shining, tell me the sky's bright blue, because that's going to make me smile, you know.
I was going to say that. Yeah. Absolutely. God, I could talk to you about this forever. We've got a couple of questions that have come up in the group. Hold on a sec. No, they have. Hold on. Oh, I've lost them now. There we go. It's more about captions and how we can do that. So just to clarify, be as descriptive as possible.
Yeah.
And then when you go to do your post, you can go to the alt text and you can add it all there.
Yeah.
And that gets, so when you use your app, that gets read out to you, does it?
Yeah, so I use a screen reader, and when you scroll through Instagram, you go onto the picture, and if you've added alt text, my screen reader will read what you've added, and then I can scroll down to the captions and it will read what you've written below, like, you know, today was a great day, you know, we went to the park.
Yeah.
But if you don't remember to put it in alt text, put it under your we had a great day at the park.
Yeah.
This is so and so and so and so on the swing, you know.
Yeah.
At least I know roughly what I'm looking at. Otherwise I just scroll past because I think, well, that's not made for me.
Yeah, yeah, crikey. And how does it make you feel when you see that someone has taken the effort to describe what it is that they've posted, against the when you just don't? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. You think they're thinking of the bigger picture, the wider community. They want everyone to be included in what they're posting. And the problem is it's one of those things, I guess you'd only really do it if you're impacted by it. I've never done it before. I'd lost my sight. I never even thought, you know, a blind person would use social media. But now I'm in that community and I mix with other disabilities, I'm more aware of their needs and wants. So I try to do what I can for them. I don't always get it right for them. I don't always get it right for my own community. Sometimes I'll post so quickly, I'll forget to add that video description or something. So it is hard, I get it, but it's just to get into that habit really of thinking, right, well, do I want this to reach a bigger audience? Do I want to include the blind and visually impaired? If what you're posting is to benefit a minority community, then you should do all that you can, because you're going to hit that minority community. If you don't do it, you're not going to hit it.
Absolutely. And it's awareness as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's awareness that actually these things, like being descriptive is really key. Like as soon as you said if it's sunny outside, I shared a reel yesterday. I live in southwest Devon, and we have had, like the rest of the country, the worst weather. Like it's just been,
Doesn't stop raining, does it?
It just has not stopped. It's been windy, it's been raining, it's been miserable. And yesterday I went for a walk. I usually walk early in the mornings, and the sunrise was unbelievable. It just felt spring-like. It wasn't raining. I didn't get wet feet. It was just really, really lovely. And I just thought, you know what, for somebody who is, you know, if it helps just one person just being outside and listening to the birds and feeling the sunlight on your face, just fantastic. But I know I didn't describe. I talked about it actually, but because I did an audio as I was filming it, but I didn't describe what I was seeing.
I think no, if you're doing an audio, like, you know, if we were filming this, I would post this on social media, and I might just sort of say a brief bit of what we look like, but because you're talking to the camera, you don't really need to describe what's going on because we can hear. It's like I normally say Claire is talking to the camera, and then you don't really need to picture anything else other than a head looking at a screen. So if you're out on a walk and you're like, oh my gosh, this sunrise is beautiful, you know, the sky is a combination of pinks and yellows and reds, the birds are tweeting, and that I can envision that, so I wouldn't need to read it in description. And a lot of the time when people are out and about, they are describing what's going on. It's very rare that they're not, but if they're not, then obviously I'd need it in the captions because I've got no clue.
Wow, God, my God, it's so interesting, but it's really kind of not caught me out, but it's kind of made me just think so much more about you know, what we're doing.
Well,
you know,
I mean, my family are the same. Well, they'll send pictures on WhatsApp and I have to go back and go, what is this? And they're like, oh, sorry, Claire, this is in a full uniform. I'm like, okay, thank you. My own family forget. It's so easy to forget. You have to make it a habit, and it is hard, but I think more and more people are doing it, and more brands are doing it, which is really important.
Brilliant. Oh my God. Right. I am on a mission to make sure that, like you, I'm joining your mission. I'm on a mission to make sure that this happens more. So thank you so much. How do you, so you are incredibly busy because you're a mum, you're hugely busy with everything. How do you manage your work-life balance? Are you pretty strict with your kind of timings and everything?
No, do you know, I think I was thinking about this morning, because I worked like a 15-hour day yesterday, and I'm so busy up until next Sunday, and I was thinking I know I'm going to get burnout, and I know I'm going to make myself unwell, but I think the problem for me is I am just, where I had been out of work for nearly 2 years, I am just so grateful that I've got this job and I've got these opportunities, that I don't want to miss out on an opportunity, because this isn't going to last forever. You know, social media content creators, influencers, whatever you want to call it, there's a time span on each person. So in my mind, I'm like, you just grab every opportunity you can get, because for so long I sat there miserable, my mental health was suffering, my self-worth was below zero. I just thought, no one wants me, no one wants to employ me. I'm so grateful for the position I'm in, that I'm just like, yep, and trying to do everything to just fulfill everything. So my work-life balance isn't great. One thing that I did start though at the beginning of this year was, I do not go on my phone now after 8 o'clock at night, so that I have an evening with my partner, because a huge part of my job is replying to DMs and comments.
Exactly.
It's so time consuming. I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but I get hundreds every day, because so many people are reaching out. They know someone or themselves are going through sight loss, and they just want that bit of reassurance, and that's kind of my priority. I love it when people drop in, they're like, hey, how are you? And I will try to reply to those. My priority is to give the support to those, because I never had that. You know, when you go blind, it's not like you're given a book and you have, I mean, not that we could read it, but you're not sort of taught how you deal with it. You've got all these amazing charities and specialists, but none of them know, because they've not walked the path that you've walked. They can still see. So being able to sit and say to someone, it sucks, but it will be okay, that's kind of why I did it, and that's why I sit and reply to so many. But after 8 o'clock at night now, phone is down. I enjoy an evening, and I'm sleeping so much better.
Yeah, I bet you are. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is with any job or any you know, aspect of your life, it's so important to have those boundaries in. And when you're strict with them, it's hard to start off with, because you're like, right, I am going to make sure I get some good quality sleep. I am going to make sure that my work-life balance is great. I am going to make sure I put good habits in. It's so hard to initiate that, but when you know the benefits of doing that, it makes such difference. But equally, it's very, very easy to go back to what you were doing before. So you've got to kind of be strict with yourself, don't you?
Totally. I mean, on a Wednesday night, my fiance goes over and sees his kids. So I'm always on my own on a Wednesday night, and I was on my phone until, it was probably 1 o'clock this morning, trying to edit as well, because I edit all of my own content, and those apps aren't accessible. So what might take a sighted person like 30 seconds to edit takes me several hours, and it's so time consuming and so frustrating, because a lot of video editing apps, you slide a bar along. Well, obviously I can't see, so I swipe up with my finger, but it does it second by second. You've got a 34-minute video. That's hours of editing.
My reels take me forever, so goodness. I think I must get some tips from you.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, amazing. So are you going to not do so many 15-hour days, or are you just gonna keep going?
I think
That's my mum's
next
voice.
week.
I'm concerned about your 15-hour days.
This week and next week just so happen to be really, really busy. And like I say, I just take not every opportunity, because a lot of things do clash, but I'm just so grateful that people want to work with me and have chosen me, and I want to give them 100%. So I put in as much time that requires. So it just so happens that these 2 weeks are really busy, and then it dies down a bit until May. So it's a bit like anything, really. You know, they always say you wait for a bus and then 3 come along at once. It's kind of the same when you're self-employed. It does all seem to happen in chunks, and then you have a few weeks where nothing's going on, and then boom. Like I went down to go out for dinner with some friends on Tuesday night, and I didn't really have much in my diary on Tuesday because I wanted to film some content.
Yeah.
By Tuesday lunchtime, I had calls for the whole afternoon. And I was like, I've got to leave at 10 to 5. So I was just trying to time manage everything because I just thought, and I've got to get better at it. And I have started trying to put a routine in, and I do keep one day free every month, every week, because I am quite prone to getting unwell easily, but 2, because when you've got 4 days that are solid and you're like, oh my god, that's really important, or I really want to do that, I've got a day to, I can do that on Friday. And then if I don't get anything, then I get a free day off. So winner.
winning, brilliant. It's I think, like I say, when you're working, because I'm freelance, so when you're working for yourself as well, it is, you know, there isn't that kind of 9 to 5, and people, and I guess with social media as well, people feel that they can just give you a call or just, you know, message you, and I guess there is, so, you know, it's really important to have those boundaries in as well, because you are so accessible. We all are, aren't we? It's just very, very easy. But as I've said to my kids, you know, is you know, if you email somebody, or you know, we were talking about school, and, you know, contacting a teacher at schools, you know, they have their boundaries as to when they reply to those. So don't, you know, you can send that message as long as it's an email, it's not, you know, on the phone or what have you. You know, and it's convenient for you to do it now because you're not in class or what have you, but it's convenient to them to pick it up when it's okay to pick it up. And I guess it's as a grown up, I need to be very conscious of that as well. Certainly when it's, you know, you're using your phone all the time, isn't it? It's
and then doing what we do, obviously we don't just work UK hours. I work with brands worldwide, so there's time zone differences. Sometimes you've got a call scheduled at 4 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes it's 11 o'clock at night because of time zone differences.
Oh my goodness, Claire, you're amazing. You are amazing. So it's World Book Day today. Do you you mentioned very briefly you're not reading books, but do you use like Audible or anything like that to listen to books? Or
I get a bit of PTSD when people talk about World Book Day. I'll share a little story with you. When my daughter was younger,
I think a lot of people get PTSD when they talk about World Book Day.
I'd sent her to school. I mean, we were panicking, like, oh, what do you go as? And I had this big piece of foam. So I just drew brown circles on it. And I was like, go as a chocolate chip cookie. I'm sure that's in a book somewhere. Then to school as a chocolate chip cookie. And I was on like an off-site day. So I was nowhere near her school. And we had a breakout session at the off-site. And I had a missed call from the school. And I was like, oh, God, what's happened? So I called them back. And they're like, oh, Jade's come to school dressed up as a cookie, but World Book Day's tomorrow. So she had to sit there all day dressed as a cookie on the wrong day. Oh God, I felt awful. I felt like the worst mum in the world. I was like, I can't come and get her. I haven't even got a change of clothes I can bring her because I'm at an offside. But going back to your question, yes, I use Audible and I listen to a lot of podcasts. I did used to really enjoy reading, especially on holiday in the sun. When I am listening to Audible, I can't listen for long periods of time. My mind just goes a bit all over the place. I find when I'm cleaning, that's the best time to either listen to a podcast or an audio book. But I do enjoy a book. More so personal, like biographies, but it does depend who's doing the voiceover on it, because there are some voices that I'm just like, no, I have to switch off because I can't bear it.
So true. I listen to quite a lot of podcasts and books, like you say. And I love the fact that they've got a feature. This is not an advert for Audible, by the way, although do feel free to contact. But I love the fact that they do almost like you can listen in to like a minute or two, because that voice, if the voice is really soothing and lovely to listen to, fantastic. You could listen to it for whatever. But if it's a really grating type of accent or whatever, it's just, or you can't understand it or whatever, it makes such a difference to your kind of enjoyment of the book.
It really does. And I think that's why I like biographies, because 9 times out of 10, whoever the biography is about, they've done the voiceover for.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you listening to anything at the moment?
I am listening to a podcast at the moment. It's a comedian. I can't think of his, Anthony something, Jessel something. He's got quite dark humour.
Okay.
I've been listening to him, but I've also been listening to a self-help book about how to be confident. Because I really lack confidence when I'm in a group of people. So but it's a voice that is quite annoying, so again I can only listen to that in bursts. But I'm sucking it up and just going with it.
We'll have to get that name of that book from you. That would be very good. Thank you. So who or what inspires you?
I've got many inspirations in my life. Each member of my family for different reasons. My daughter is probably my biggest inspiration. For quite a long time, it had always just been me and her, and we're like the bestest of friends. You know, I mean, we're even going out drinking tomorrow night and to a concert. She's an adult, by the way. Get an underage drunk. We just have the best times together, and she was like my light in the darkest of days, and she was the reason that I just never ever gave up. I just wanted her to always look at me and think, if my mum can do it, I can. I definitely see that in her now. She graduated law school, she's a trainee lawyer, and it's hard. She's doing really long days as well, and she's getting home and she's exhausted, and I'm like, you've got this, and she's like, no, I know. And I think in the back of her mind she's thinking, you know, if mum can do it, I can. And I just think the fact that we're both there for each other and pick each other up when we need it, and sort of ground each other as well, because, you know, being very successful very young, I don't want her to get a bit too sort of big for her boots. I mean,
a bit too complacent.
And you know, she's in a position that she can go and buy her own home, and there's not many 23-year-olds that can do that. She's been so successful, but she's worked so hard. I have never known a kid. She had 4 jobs, but she still had a religious study schedule. And she would tutor other children as well, because she's very talented. She obviously gets that from me, obviously. She's just so hardworking and dedicated, and I'm so proud of that, because I think it was very easy for me that I could have just quit work and given up and gone on benefits and just sat there and done nothing every day. But I didn't want her thinking that that's the way you live life. I wanted her to know, you go out, you get a job, you pay your bills, you save to get nice things and go on nice holidays. That's what life is. And she definitely has. So she's a huge inspiration to me.
And you've both been through such a lot together, like you say, just the two of you. I can imagine that bond being unbreakable. Like no one comes between you two.
No. And all my friends comment. My best friend, she has always said, I just want the same relationship that you two got with my girls, because we are so close. And I wouldn't have it any other way. She's my absolute world, and I'm so incredibly proud of her.
Anyone else got a lump in their throat? It's just... Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, congratulations to your daughter, and congratulations to you on being like I say, not only women on a mission, but you know, complete supermum as well. Right, I know you've got to go very shortly, but do tell us, if you can, quickly, a little bit about London Fashion Week. We'll have to get you on to do a part two. I
Yeah.
know we are, but London Fashion Week sounded incredible. And that was such a big deal this year, wasn't it? Can you tell us why it was such a big deal?
Absolutely huge. So, I mean, I think anyone who's into fashion, we all know that with fashion, you can pretty much do anything and it's going to sell. You could walk down the runway with a dead animal on you, and although you'll have animal rights activists there, it's still going to sell because there are a wealth of people who buy into that.
Yeah.
So the fact that these group of people are risking the norm to break it and make accessibility and disability the exception, make it the norm and not the exception, is just incredible. So the project was the Hair and Care project, and that was set up by Anna Cafoni, and her dad, he had retinitis pigmentosa, so he was blind, and it's kind of through that she's set this project up, and it's to teach blind, low vision, visually impaired people how to care for their hair. Now, I love beauty, fashion, makeup, but one thing that I don't do is look after my hair because I don't know how. And a lot of people, when you have sight loss, you have other medical conditions, and we all know taking medications has an impact on our hair. I've got really fine hair. Before I had my stroke,
beautiful.
Oh, this isn't real. This isn't real. Before I had my stroke, it was like this, but being on 27 different tablets every day for 6 years, it took its toll on my hair and nails and skin. And it's something I just think, oh, just shove it back or whatever. And I've never really taken care of it. So when she reached out and said that she's a hairstylist and they're working on London Fashion Week, I just thought, how incredible is that, and how brave to try and break that mold. And they invited a couple of us down there. The fashion designer, Sinead O'Dwyer, she caters for everybody. So her catwalk, you had disabled people, you had non-binary, you had all different shapes and sizes, all different colours. It was a fully inclusive catwalk.
It was
and
fabulous. It really looked incredible.
I just couldn't believe it, and feeling her designs as well. Like she said, oh, you know, I'll make this for a fuller figure, and I'm just like, wow, I've never heard someone speak like that. That's just incredible. And you know, when you think of a catwalk, we all think of the same image: a stick thin person walking down, no expression, flawless skin, perfect hair, this, that, and the other. I mean, these people, to me, they were perfect, because you're perfect in your own unique way. And just because you're bigger or you've got different colour hair or you've got a disability doesn't mean to say you can't be a fashion model. Who says it has to be this criteria? And everyone in that whole team, even down to the casting agent, were all about inclusion and diversity. So it was just such an incredible project to be a part of. And Anna actually holds open days where people with who have blindness and low vision can go, and she will teach them free how to take care of their hair. And I just think, you know, that's someone who's really giving back to a community, and it just needs to be shouted about.
I mean, my gosh, I kind of followed your stories that day, and it was just like, wow, what a difference! How empowering!
And to add, it was the very first ever audio described catwalk.
Exactly.
So as they're walking past me, it was playing through my AirPods of what they were wearing, and I was allowed to feel the pieces the week before, so I had the great image in my head of what was going on. And to be included in something that you're always excluded from was just such a phenomenal moment.
I can imagine. A real pinch me. Well, I was going to say a real pinch me moment, but it's kind of like, how has it taken so long for this to happen? Does that make sense? I mean, 2024, but thank goodness it is happening now.
But that is fashion. Like, you know, they kind of call the shots, don't they? And that's why I think it's so incredibly brave that these people are doing that, because they're trying to break that mold.
Absolutely. And so what is her is her vision to roll this out to all, because we've obviously just had all the other fashion weeks have kind of followed. Is she going to be able to roll that out to the other fashion weeks?
Yeah, so they work with a couple of us, and we've given our feedback. Obviously, it was the first time it's ever been done, and for their first time, I think they did an incredible job. You know, I kind of thought, oh, it's going to be really overwhelming because you're sat backstage getting your hair done and there's hundreds of people, and I get really bad sensory overload. But I didn't have any of that, and everything was accessible. The feedback I gave them, so we had a pre-recorded audio description of the catwalk, and I don't think it was necessarily in the order they were coming on, because the audio description had finished before the catwalk had finished. And it was constructive feedback, and it wasn't negative. It was, they could work with another vision charity to do a live audio description. That would make it even better. But for their first attempt, they bloody nailed it. They really did. And I think, their vision is to keep doing that, and hope that other fashion designers think, oh, well, they've done that, we need to do that. And then it will hopefully snowball. But the fact that it started is a massive credit to them.
Huge. And I really, really hope that it just snowballs.
Me
and
too. Like, as young children, to see somebody wheeling down a catwalk, they can look at that and go, oh, that person's like me, I could become a model. That's what we want in life. That's what we've been saying for decades. There's no representation in the mainstream media. I mean, there is now, but 10 years ago there wasn't. And it's the same with putting people of colour on TV. Like, now, you know, Alison Hammond is one of the biggest personalities on TV, and so she should be, you know.
Absolutely.
She should be discriminated against for who they are or what they are. Like,
absolutely. And for young children to say that person's just like me, I mean, as it should be. So taking on the world, Claire, taking on the world. It's brilliant. And we have got a question that has just come up. So Falcon Fan 2222 is saying, do you still have a sense of different lighting conditions?
Right. So I have 4% vision in the top left corner of my eye. It's very distorted, but I can see colour, lights, shadows. Like, if someone was to stand in front of me, like I'm putting my hand in front of my eye now, I can see there's something there because the light from the window, I can just see the contrast. So if things are really big and colourful, you know, I might be able to be like, oh, there's a bus over there. And people are like, oh, how do you know that? And it's like, my brain just knows that that is a massive red thing. I'm in London, it's going to be a bus, you know, type thing. So, and I think a lot of people don't realise the muscle memory that you have, especially when it comes to knowing where things are. Part of me can see it, but I have no depth perception. So it's not where I think it is, but I put that cup down so I know where to pick it up from. Or you get up at night to go to the toilet. We don't all put the lights on, but we manage to get to the toilet because you've got that memory muscle, but it's pitch. It's the same for us. So I can see some things, but I can't see a lot of other things.
Amazing. So Claire, you are incredibly busy. You've obviously just told us that you set some boundaries as well, so I'm really glad that you're going to be looking after yourself. That is good. But what is next? What's next for you? Are you, if you're not, you might not be allowed to share this.
That's the problem doing this. You're not allowed to
send me
openly
a message.
One something that did go live today was that in January I was chosen to be a part of the BBC Creator Lab, where they are working with creators, where they recognise talent. And not that I think I'm talented or anything, but to be chosen as part of there were 20 people over 5 different categories, and I was chosen for sort of like the food content. And what really stood out for me was this group of people, apart from maybe 3 or 4 of us, they were all proper chefs. They've got cookbooks, they've got restaurants, you know, this is their living. And I'm like, oh, I just shove a cream egg in a Yorkshire pudding and go viral for it type thing. I mean, I am known for my sweet treats, I know that. But I think what is interesting is, well, how does a blind person cook safely, and the gadgets that I use as well. So I don't claim to be a chef. I don't claim to have invented any recipes. I love cooking. It's my escapism. And I just do it in a unique way. And I try to simplify it as well, so that other blind people, it gives them the confidence to do it and talk about the gadgets that I've got. So they think, oh, well, actually, if I had that, then maybe I would cook more. Because when you can't see, it's so easy to sit there and do nothing and let everyone else do everything for you. And I'm not that person. I want to do it all for myself. Try. If I can't do it, then fair enough. But I want to try.
Yeah. And the fact that you're able to still do all of those things, but you are aware and sharing the important information about those gadgets being out there. Like, is it Jeffrey Jug?
Yeah, we've got Jeffrey Jug.
Jeffrey Jug. You know, all those different gadgets. I had no idea that they were available.
And
so I mean,
a lot of people don't.
No,
they don't know. So you know, again, you use social media and you raise that awareness. But it's not just blind people. I've got a very close friend of mine, Glenn. He's got dexterity problems, and he said to me, you know, what would you recommend, like, for a colander? And I said, oh, did you know you can get those ones that you can pull out rather than having to hold and pull the pan over? And he was like, brilliant. Got it. And he's able to cook. So, you know, it's not just my community, it's others that would think, oh, I didn't know that would help my mum or this person or that person. So it's all good.
It's brilliant. Claire, I know you've got to go, but can I just, first of all, just say thank you so much for spending time with me today, and everybody that's watching. You have been an absolute delight to chat to, and as I knew you would be. I love chatting with you on Instagram, so thank you so much for giving up your time today. But equally, I would love to bring you back, because I know that there is so much more that we can talk about.
Yeah, we need to talk about Robbie.
I know, like, I'm looking at the time going, darn it, she's gonna have to go. Very quickly, give us a little snippet.
At the Royal Albert Hall, it wasn't a paid experience or anything. He just spotted me in the crowd. I think he saw Rick, thought this girl needs a bit of love, and came over. But what was so incredible was he audio described everything that was going on. Petrified.
I could see him chatting away to you. And
he was like, everyone's looking at you, babe. And I was thinking, please don't tell me that.
Oh my God.
Best moment.
Amazing. Well, listen, please come back and tell us
Thanks
in great detail more about Robbie. And yeah, we've got so much more to talk about. Thank you so much for sharing with us just how we can do better in helping you and your community, but also sharing with us all of what you've been going through. And you're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. So thank you very, very much. You're a superstar.
Thank you.
But we'll catch up very soon.
Okay, take care.
Lots of love. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.